Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise podcast, hosted by yours truly, Misty Magdalena Grace, also known as Magical Mags. I am an abundance alchemist, helping you alchemize fear into love, pain into purpose, scarcity or lack into abundance, so that you can live your best life, your best health, your best wealth, your best relationships by trusting your best wisdom within. Please enjoy the show, like and subscribe, and leave a review if you see value in this amazing show. And feel free to stay in till the end. You may have a surprise gift waiting for you on the other side of this episode. Well, hello and welcome back, everyone. Magdalena Grace here. And today, this is actually a part two. Part one was almost a month ago. There's been so much happening in my life and in the world and the planetary awakening that it took me a little bit, and I'm really excited to have Anthony back here for part two, and specifically May is Mental Health Month. So I think it's divinely timed that we're talking about this now, because so many people, especially as Pluto, holy shit, went retrograde today. And I know I was feeling it yesterday, and it really knocked me off. And I was like crying. I was going through some mental health stuff like depression, apathy. I'm always loving to share my experience with you all, just modeling that I'm still on this journey with you. No one is not impacted by this energy. They just may not be conscious of it. And so what Anthony I want to talk about today, like Carl Jung talks about, making the unconscious conscious. So today specifically is part two, going deeper. Last time we introduced to you the concept of entity attachments, vampiric energy, vampires, demonic energies, forces, reptilians, archons. They do exist. And if you don't agree with me and Anthony, that is okay. Just, stop listening. You can unsubscribe if you want to, if you think you're crazy. However, Anthony does this for a living, and I have actually utilized his services. And a lot of people are connected to narcissists, whether it's from childhood, whether it's from your toxic partner or marriage or a boss. And so we're going to dive into three components for sure, and whatever else spirit guides us to discuss around specifically the narcissist and empath cycle, and shadows and entities that show up in our lives through other humans, other mirrors. We're also going to talk about what Carl Jung talks about, the mirror effect, when these shadows and entities show up for us, by us, to, guess what? Congratulations, heal us and help us rise to that next level of brilliance and joy and bliss and peace and all of the things, abundance and prosperity that we like to talk about on this show. So I wanted to tee up the show, Anthony, to just let people know what they're in for. And if you didn't see the first episode, I am going to drop that link in the show notes. And so, Anthony, I know you shared before, maybe you just give a brief bit of your story and why you're passionate about this narcissist empath cycle and shadows and entities.
Yep. Well, I watched your last show just recently today, and about mental health, and I'm also a veteran. So as you pointed out, and this gentleman, your guest, pointed out, mental health is extremely important. And myself being a veteran, we all get these traumas. And not being a veteran, you get traumas. You get PTSDs. And so it's not just for veterans. You're going to get compound PTSDs, etc. But I am a Native American Ojibwe descendant shaman. And the name given to me by the Ojibwe tribe here in Minnesota, White Earth Nation, is Manadu Mishkiki Enini, which means spirit medicine man. So I'm also an entity remover. I'm a multi-modality energy healer. And my passion is people's health, just like yours, Magdalena. It's my passion, people's health, every part of their health. And that's what I do is to help that, because you can't be healthy mentally if you got all these attachments and all these things that are finding us and attaching to us. Mm-hmm. And we can't be mentally healthy. You can't be physically healthy. So my main work that I do is removing all these entities, identify them and remove them, and then educate my clients about them. And let's talk about why did they attach to you? Why did you have this experience? And not just say, okay, I came in, I did the work, okay, bye-bye. And after, when I do my work, I offer up to a 3 or 4 week, you might call aftercare. Questions, more things we can talk, help identify what things that, what were going on in you that attracted this. So I do all healing. I do the entity removal, then I do the healing afterward too. And then if people just want healing from certain things, certain physical ailments, I do different modalities of Reiki. But I actually do more than just Reiki. I don't even really use Reiki so much anymore. There's other higher modalities that I use that are more effective. And it doesn't just clear the body, it clears the mind, it clears everything. Well, everything I do in my business, it's all about people's health. It's all about the health.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you personally, we're going to dive right in. We have 3 key points. And the first one that we want to introduce people is to understand the narcissist and empath cycle. And you yourself was raised in a narcissistic home and experienced that emotional abuse. So maybe talk a little bit about your story as much as you want to go into, no pressure, and how it plays out in what you see in today's world and the clients at large.
And that's an excellent way to go. Yeah. So I too, like many other people, I grew up, one of my parents, my mother was an extreme narcissist, but, and alcoholic, drug user, mental illness. She had psychiatric drugs, and she experimented with other drugs. So it was it was a very hard, very painful experience, like we all go through when we have a relationship, whether being as a child in a parent relationship or being in a marriage relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, employee to boss, whatever. Or me, I went right out of high school, right into the military. So I thought I was getting away from my narcissist mother, and I went right into a big narcissist organization without knowing it. And so and at the time I didn't know I had abilities, because I just came out of, having experience with brain tumor. And so that was a bit unique also. But the narcissist empath relationship it's something, as it seems like every empath, every soul that is born on this planet, every empath has to go through this experience. It's like we are required to go through it. And there's reasons, there's spiritual reasons for it, there's deeper reasons for it. But the experience itself, very painful, very hard, very harsh, feels very unfair. Feels like you're being beat up, like you're someone's punching bag. But the end result is, if you learn the lessons, and you learn all the lessons, and you exit and kind of graduate, you won't have narcissistic relationships anymore, because you'll recognize those signals in people, those behaviors in people, and you just won't put up with that no more. Because part of that is you're learning to value. You got to learn to value yourself. Do self-care for yourself. You are number one important first, not the narcissist. But as empaths, we have so much empathy for so many people. We just think, what, I can probably help him or her, and maybe they can be a better person because I'm helping. But they see that, they kind of, no, maybe, they start, start gauging, they start thinking, okay, I can take advantage of this person. So when we, as empaths, we start out, we don't have any boundaries. We don't have any standards. We have so much empathy. We want to love, we want to love and help everybody, including the narcissist. I was like, oh, he's wounded as bad, maybe worse than I am. I want to help him, or I want to help her. And it's that empathy without boundaries that kind of sucks us in. We get sucked into being taken advantage of. And so I learned later on that is as an empath, we have to go through this, unfortunately, but it's also fortunately for us if we go through and learn everything. And so because as empaths, we really we start out with no boundaries, no standards. We don't have any limits to want to help people with our compassion.
Mhm.
And so narcissists see this and they're like, oh goody, someone I can take advantage of,
Mm.
because we don't know what they're like. And they play a role in the empath growth paradigm. They play a role. There's a reason
Yeah.
for everything. And part of the, we all know how that goes, and because they believe that they're superior. They think normal rules do not apply to them. They see people as tools and not equals. They don't see people as people. And they do not respect people. They have extreme entitlement mentality. They believe everyone owes them for whatever they demand of them.
Mhm.
They like to exploit people, and that's their specialty. And really, their only focus is to exploit people. For their needs being met are the only needs that matter, not the empaths, nobody else. They resent people for exerting their boundaries,
Mhm.
and whatever their boundaries are. And so, because because when we exert our boundaries, we're like stopping them in their tracks, because they're on that path of just exploiting people. And one of their biggest fears is feeling powerless and also feeling insecure. And they don't see using people as wrong. It doesn't even click in their mind that they're using people. They don't even think about that. It never shows up. And they feel the need to feel like they're feared. They feel the need to feel like they're very powerful and admired.
Mm.
That's the basic makeup. And some of the traits of being a sociopath, narcissist, sociopath, it's kind of borderline.
Mm.
And so we as an empath, we're totally opposite. We're on the opposite spectrum. No, we care so much about people, over compassion. We have no limits, no boundaries. We want to help everybody. And we want to be the peacemaker. We want to get in between. We want to be the healer. We want to be the helper. But yet we deplete ourselves so much, and then we will never find a way. We never find our way. Be empowered, to be happy, have our sovereignty, and and then also be taken seriously. Because if this narcissists look at us, oh, your opinion doesn't matter. The narcissist like, your opinion doesn't matter. Your needs, your everything with you don't matter. So when we're in a relationship with a narcissist, like I said, either parent, child, uh, wife, husband, whatever, or boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, employee. It's we've all experienced that, especially in employment too. We're little employees. We don't matter to them.
Yeah, most of our systems today, religion,
Right.
you talk about fearing, well, you got to fear God or fear the priest or fear the rules or fear whoever's in charge. And,
Yeah.
there's also the corporations, the
Yeah.
schools, and you talked really great stuff about narcissists. There's also the empath. And for those of you who've never read Judith Orloff's
Yes. Good book.
Survival Guide, the Empath Survival Guide, a lot of us are sensitive. A lot of us have a really bright light that these narcissist humans, we'll get into the entities next, but they feed off of that. There's also a great book on energy vampires. I can't remember the title or the author, but if anybody, needs that information, please email me, info@magdalenagrace.com. But it was when I read those books, I didn't understand those predatory energies, and you just keep cycling. If you had a parent that was the narcissist and you're the empath, guess what? You're going to marry a
Right.
narcissist, right?
Yep.
And all of these shadows and energies are meant to help us heal, but a lot of us, myself included, I know I fell into the victim consciousness trap, because that's where they want to keep us too, right? those
Yep.
energies tend to lower our vibrational frequency while they feed off of the light. And yeah, then you have autoimmune issues, you have addiction issues, you have codependencies of all kinds. And in today's world, oh my God, you have so many codependent choices, starting with this freaking smart slash dumb phone. And, just get away from that and go out in nature, right? That'll help. But so many people are on social media. So many people have people that they're codependent upon. We're taught that from literally, being a baby, growing up to be dependent upon people. But right now, it's a little bit scary to know who to trust because there's so much of that darker energy being exposed on the planet. If for just really quickly before I turn it back over to you, Anthony, is just reminding people we are in a planetary awakening. All of this stuff, the war, Donald Trump being a president, the gas prices, everything, Pachamama having more tsunamis, earthquakes, all of this is happening for us, by us, with our galactic team, with our support, trying to literally save the planet. So there is some very serious ramifications here, but I believe we're going to save Mother Earth. I believe we're going to get enough people like you and me talking and waking up and helping people transmute these lower vibrational, predatory, energy vampire, narcissist, reptilian, archon energies. That's why I wanted to talk about this on our show. Even if you think I'm crazy, it's okay. Guess what? It's going to be talked about a lot more in the coming years because it's really what we've got to expunge and expose and get rid of. I never used the word narcissist until a year ago. And so being an empath who's very sensitive to it, those of you out there, why May is Mental Health Month, is a lot of times people think, oh, I'll just take an antidepressant. I'll just go to my psychotherapist, my head doctor. And guess what? Those are not working anymore, especially with Pluto in retrograde. We're being forced to expose more of these shadows. And if you don't understand it, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to lean on addiction. You're just going to keep looping. And so Anthony and I are here today to help introduce these ideas or reinforce them if you've been living with a narcissist or having issues or mental health issues or physical health issues. It's all manifesting because of the energetics of this stuff. So I just wanted to give a little bit of insights into that and kind of lay the stage now. And for now that we've have that awareness of that, there's this narcissist, predatory energy, there's these empaths, and we're kind of like, bouncing off of each other. But maybe now you can explain the energies and entities that feed on the light, on the emotional pain body, and we keep in that lower emotional pain body with the help of that cycle of the narcissist or predatory energy. But how do we move through that because that battle is going on every day?
It's very true. And just to extend a little bit on the relationship with the narcissist and the empath, basically starting out as an empath, we know nothing. So basically where we're starting at as basic, not knowing anything, we're just maybe not even realizing we're an empath. Well, basically we don't know anything starting out as an empath. We're very naive. Basically, it's a misunderstanding of the proper and healthy way to use our empathy and whom is worthy of our empathy. That's the distinction. We think everyone's worthy of our empathy. Well, that's not the case. And we know it's not just narcissists. That's not worthy. We got to be very, very selective. And the whole goal of it going all the way through it is from a naive empath, go to and through to become an empowered empath. And then going down the path, going to the end, and then we realize, by making these decisions of who is worthy of our empathy, who is not, we learned we don't lose our empathy for people. We learn to use it as our greatest strength, as an awakened strength. It's like, we probably heard something like, you got to know yourself well and understand your true self, your inner self. You got to understand yourself very, very well, and understand your true role as an empath. if you don't have any of that understanding, don't have the boundaries, the standards, you don't have the awareness, like you said, you're going to stay in that loop. And so there are entities out there. Some of them are predatory in nature. Some of them are responsive in nature. So there's a difference. The predatory ones, like we discussed in the first video, like the R's, the reptilians, and the archons, those are certain density of, like I call fourth density entities. Those are predatory. And they will attach to you just because to attach, they can attack, right? But they can also attach. So there's a difference. They can attack without attaching to you, but they can also attach. Now, there's also psychic attacks, but the psychic attacks are not from entities, they're from people. So if your aura is strong enough or kind of weak, you can feel if something is kind of attacking you. Because like after a lot of times I do entity removals, people will say, I still feel like I'm being attacked. I feel like I got something attached to me. And I'd say, well, if I give you the protection, and I would do a recheck on them, and there's nothing on them, then they're just being attacked. They're not being attached, they're being attacked. And they're still feeling that energy coming through. So they feel like they're being attacked. And a lot of times what can happen afterward is what's called gang stalking. They'll just come after and keep on trying to attack to get into you because now they've been pushed out and banned from bothering a person. Well, they can't get to you, so they're trying to attack from the outside of you, trying to get back in. So it feels like really, really, really intense, like you're being attacked. Well, you are, but there's, like I said, there's predatory, and then there's ones that are attacked from the outside that cannot touch you. So there's two different ways they do this. And
if I can interject for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll be good for some people, especially I know when I first realized, oh my gosh, these dark predatory energies are real, these narcissistic energies are real, ours are real, and I got to live with it front and center, and being able to can you hear me? Yep, you're still here. I still see you. You're still here. Yeah, what I was going to say is, if we're going to talk a little bit, well, while Anthony's coming back, I'm sure he'll jump back in. If you've ever felt mental health symptoms, like you're losing your mind, you all of a sudden don't feel safe, if you all of a sudden have any kind of just unsettled feeling just in general, that could be the sign of a psychic attack and what Anthony and I are talking about. So Anthony, welcome back. I was just giving some 3D symptoms about what these psychic attacks can feel and look like. I was talking about, feeling unsafe, anxiety, just feeling irrational fear, feel like you're losing your mind. Is there any other symptoms that might represent?
They can remind you of a trauma and like fear and anxiety, and they can keep you in a loop. You will just keep thinking of it over and over and over. And one of the reasons they do that is, like, for example, when he's talked about gang stalking, or they are attacking you, but they're not attaching to you. What they're trying to do, what they're really doing is, like, they can't attach to you directly. So what are they doing? They're trying to scare you and make you anxious. And so you are releasing your emotional energy that they want to attach to you and eat from you, suck from you. They're trying to get you to feel scared and release it on your own without them attaching to you, and they're still being fed.
Yeah. Similarly, like the realm of hungry ghosts, Dr. Gabor Mate wrote the book about that. So like an alcoholic, a lot of times they're not conscious of these hungry ghosts, these energies in these different unseen realms. Like you can't see them unless you're like Anthony, because he's a shaman. You can't see them, but they're a different version of predatory energy that is feeding off of your trauma to get you to reach for the substance, the drink. That's why even if you watch my last show, we were talking about people who abuse plant medicine. They just keep going back for more, for more, for more, for more. In some ways, it's actually not that different than what psychotherapists do. And someone who's in therapy for 20 years, but their life doesn't change. They just keep living in that loop, it's kind of a similar model. So you just got to really question when you keep bringing up the story, if you're not rewriting it and changing it and raising your vibration and allowing the shadows or the predators or the entities to be released or moved on, which is what Anthony can help you with. He helped me with. You're just going to keep same shit, different day definition of insanity. So since we're 60% energy beings, right, Anthony, we've got to work with the energy or it impacts our mental health and then it shows up physically last.
Mhm. Yes. And you mentioned addiction, like for example, alcohol. There are specific entities, low vibration, low power entities that will attach to you because they want to, they want to experience a little bit of a high that the person experiences from alcohol or
Yeah.
drugs or ayahuasca or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, your ghosts or your earthbound souls can attach to you because they want to feel that again because they don't have physical body anymore. They can't experience that. So they'll kind of experience it to the person by attaching to them temporarily.
And remind people, because I want to make sure we define things because you and I both know this language, but what is an earthbound soul?
So it's some people say it's a ghost. I call it an earthbound soul. It's a human that they're physically died, but their soul is still on the planet. Some people call them a ghost, and I call them an earthbound soul because they're decided to stay here for some reason. And not like they can't go. Either maybe they can't, or maybe they're too traumatized to move on right now, or maybe they're staying behind because of family reasons. They want to be around their family still, or they're attached to a home or a place. So ghost or earthbound soul, some people use interchangeably. And so it's a soul that hasn't crossed over.
Yeah. And I know you and I, go ahead. I didn't want to.
Yep. And so that's one way. You got these low power entities that just want to hook onto you because they want to experience that energy again temporarily through a person. And you're going to find these kind of places like in bars and small restaurants, places where there's a lot of drinking, there's a lot of smoking, a lot of addictions are being fed, places like that. So,
yeah.
We mentioned before, but there's different types of entities and there's different roles. There's different things. And for example, we mentioned the R's because that's what's really going on right now. My ability of being woke up about 2 months ago. Archangel Michael let me know about it, trained me to do this, and then not shortly after that, people started coming to me having the reptilian attachments, and there's a lot of talk out there right now. There's a few people that are talking about this, and their information is absolutely correct, But the thing is, one of the things we're being shown is one of the things that really happens is there's a reason why they attach. There's something from within us, our shadow work hasn't been done. We haven't done it. We have a lot of traumas we're not paying attention to. We're just shoving down like we were taught as kids and former generations. Just shove it down. Don't feel it. Just shove it down. Just shove it down. Right? Don't pay attention. And this is what happens. And so, yeah, our wounding, our energy that's there, we haven't done the proper work. A lot of our trauma is still stuck. It's still there. And these entities sense that. They see that. So the ones that have the most of this energy, the trauma stuck in them, are the ones that are most attractive to these entities. So that's one of the things we can see as these entities are revealing to us. One of the reasons they attach is we have a lot of trauma still stuck in this we haven't processed. A lot of grief, a lot of fear, a lot of shame. And that's one of the things that they're showing us is we haven't done the work. There's still a lot we need to do. So the ones who have a lot of that in them, they're more susceptible to being attacked, or even attacked, or even attached to. But the ones who have done the work, because the dark night of the soul work, et cetera, we got processed our traumas and released them. We're not going to be susceptible as much to being attacked because we don't have a whole lot of fuel for them. So our emotional fuel that we have in us for them is, we call it loosh. We have our light energy in our body, which to them is extremely delicious. Ones who have the most light, the ones that are the healers and the shamans and people who do other types of healing work, we are number one on their hit list. We are number one. They want to try to get into, and not only get our loosh, but they also want to get our light, because that's a smorgasbord for them That's the most delicious thing to them, is that light and then our loosh. If they can get both, then that's really when we feel the real bad physical, emotional, mental symptoms all at the same time. And so we're being sucked, our ether energy is being sucked out, our physical energy is being sucked out. But there's a lesson in this, is whatever we don't pay attention to, it's just going to keep showing up. It's going to keep looping. We've already talked about looping. It's just, just going to keep doing that. But usually almost always when I get rid of entities from people, I put protection around them. They do not come back. They cannot come back, because one of the things I do when I do the entity removals, we see some of the trauma that's left in there, and the stuff that is I'm able and allowed to remove and soften up and remove is removed. So more of the energy can start flowing. So the stuff that's underneath the surface can start coming to the surface, to our awareness. And so we can be aware of it. Now, because we're aware of it, then we can process it. Unless we're aware of entities are attached to us and attacking us, we don't know what the options are to what can we do. How do we recognize we're being attacked or being attached to?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to give practical symptoms, because I'm so passionate about mental health, suicide. I know, full disclosure, at least 3 of my friends who died by suicide, they were addicted to substances, addicted to different things that fortunately brought out the worst in them. And they chose to take their life, or they died of an overdose. So part of what I want to touch upon is what you said, the light. A lot of it is the divine feminine, the shakti, the life force, the prana, the chi that I help my clients with. And I do this stuff daily. We'll finish with shadow work. We'll finish with what to do daily to help yourself, like refortify yourself, because this is a personal sovereign thing.
Yes.
Even Anthony helping you still have to do the work daily in order to even heal from the trauma of had those attachments, because it doesn't just go away on its own or magically with the Reiki healing. Is you got to work on that daily. And we talked about this briefly, but and we can dive into it a little bit more, but the light and the feminine energy, that's what's being shown on the planet right now to release and heal more of the patriarchal wounding from our ancestors, the power, the greed. So can you share a little bit more of what you've seen when they feed upon, and it could be man or woman, feminine energy is in all of us. When they're going after that, what is it? How does it show up, or what does it look like, or what do you see?
Well, these are the first thing that they always attack, usually in 2 places. It's going to be at the base of the neck, because they have access to all these nerves. They have access to the brain real quick. And they really want to attach to the entire vagus nervous system. That's what they want to attach to. They want to have control of that. Because we know, a lot of us know how everything that the vagus nerve system is attached to, what it does. And so it controls every organ in our body. So they want access to our mind, our body, everything. So they usually get looks like a sore spot on their neck. Other times, other ones like archons, they go directly into the gut. They go to the womb area. They go to where the light is generated, the sacral area. They go to where the wounding energy is down there. That's where they start feeding. And then they make it up, and they like to hide in the spinal fluid. They like to hide their vibration in the spinal fluid, so it's very, very tough for them to be detected.
Yeah, you made me think of something. I think don't you agree? Most autoimmune diseases, because autoimmune diseases, they've said at least 80 to 90% of them are based on childhood trauma, wounding, and then gut health issues. Most people think, I'm just going to do a cleanse, or I'm going to do my digestive enzymes, probiotics, all of that. Oh my God, I think most of that is that predatory energy and entities. Would you agree?
Yes. And there's also, you mentioned like ancestral traumas, ancestral line could have had other entity attachments or other damage from entities, or maybe died from a entity attachment. Some of them are very strong, and they can do that kind of damage.
Yeah, they can just say, hey, I'm done. This body isn't doing it anymore, and they kill the host, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But it still passes on down the line. I can speak to that. I'm going to be a little more confidential, but I I lived with that. History repeats itself, and I got to marry that experience, and it's really devastating. And a lot of people are realizing that they're repeating that ancestral cycle, and they
Right.
married it,
Yep.
and yet they stay, or they get divorced, but they don't know about what we're talking about, which is why I wanted to talk about it, since I'm in the divorce recovery and grief recovery realm. People dying by suicide. Well, there was more to that story than
Yes,
people know.
there is more. You're correct. And that's very true. In that cycle, you can divorce a person, but the thing is, if those lessons are not learned from you, and you haven't grown to the point you've taken in and solidified your sovereignty, your power, and your authenticity, all you're going to do, you're going to go to the same cycles, the same loops. It's just going to be a different face every time. It's going to be the same things, different face. And a lot of times when people feel I don't know what you covered earlier, because I had a lapse in my internet. My internet's been going kind of up and down this week for speed.
It's the energy. It's because we're on this. It's because of you and me, Anthony. Let's
But
be honest.
yeah,
The,
but a
the,
lot
the
of times,
forces, the
yeah,
forces are listening, and they're trying to stop
right.
us.
They did last time too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of times when there's a sudden attachment, there's going to be like, you're going to feel like, some people feel like a sudden energy draw, like a sudden depression, like a sudden of negative thoughts. And then thinking about a trauma will come up in the mind, and it'll just start looping. Then
Obsessive thoughts. Yeah,
yeah, and
you're ruminating, obsessing
yeah,
about something.
something
Yeah.
gets activated, and then some people's lower gut area starts getting a little bit sore, a little bit nauseous, and then other people notice that they start having pains, like up around the third eye or up around the eyes, because all the vagus nerves that go through here too, and then it's basically, it also feels a lot like depression, just a sudden onset of like severe depression, as a sign of a stronger entity. Now, most lower entities or an earthbound soul, most of the time you're barely going to notice. I mean, you're barely going to notice, because they don't do a whole lot of harm to you for the most part. But that's the two ways. There's also some people, they'll have like weird, some of my clients have said they had pain in their ears, pain behind their eyes, especially if they're empaths. They'll have pains, like third eye, they'll have pains behind their eyes, because we have a lot of neurons behind our eyes, the mirror neurons. And they'll start having gut issues. They'll start having lower back pain. They'll start having these weird pains all of a sudden that they didn't have before. And their mind will get clogged. Their cognition will slow down. They'll feel like there's something on their head. Some people feel like they're wearing a hat on their head, and it's kind of energy, or it's kind of pressing, but they're not wearing a hat.
Yeah.
you know
Well, and I want to mention too, because some people think this is weird, this is too woo woo. Well, here's the deal. We all have a reptilian brain. Hello.
yes, that's
We
what they
all have,
activate.
yep. We all have the lizard brain, which is the amygdala. That's actually got Mary Magdalene connections. That's why I call myself Magdalena. I worked with her a lot to overcome and work through the fear from a spiritual perspective. But that is our ancestral brain. That is our caveman and woman brain. And
Right.
so these beings, I'm just going to say beings for now,
Right.
this predatory energy, these demonic forces, dark forces, shadows, it's all the same to me and Anthony, just so we're clear. If you're like, I don't believe in demons, fine. But we all have shadows. And Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious.
Yep.
Why does history repeat itself, people? It's because we're repeating the same shit our ancestors did, because we didn't have this information.
Right.
And so if you're not able to work with that, the reptilian brain, the amygdala,
Right.
that's what activates the fight, flight, freeze
Right.
responses. And so you've got to clear that, have Anthony help you check and see if you have any entities, attachments, which, oh, by the way, I would say probably 95 or more % of us do. Would you say?
Yeah, whether they're just earthbound souls, or whether I have another, when we're out and about doing things, we're out with other people, we pick up other people's energy, emotional energies in our aura. And I call those emotional energy attachments. Over time, we pick up enough of those, and we'll start feeling those emotions. So we have to clear. That's why I went to that sound bath healing yesterday, because I needed a grounding, I needed a clearing, and all that stuff. I just felt it like just fell off. But I will give one sign here that tells people that it is an attachment when someone attaches to you, then really, I guess the most severe sign is you have a very elevated heart rate. That's always a sign of an attachment. You have because your body senses something as an interference. Then the body responds with anxiety, right? Then, like reptilians, when you attach, they like what happens. You just mentioned the amygdala, the reptilian brain that activates, right? And so when anything attaches, and a lot of times women will experience if there's an attachment. A lot of women will also experience like might be hot flashes or temperature fluctuations, like their inner dialogue changes to very negative. They feel very agitated, and they don't know why. It just happened, you know.
I had that before you helped me remove the R's. I had homicidal thoughts, suicidal
Yeah,
thoughts. This is real stuff, people. Like
yeah,
it is one of my teachers who removed an entity before I met Anthony said that she saw 75% of people in the psych ward of mental hospitals. They had these entities and attachments. So literally you could lose your mind. And, you do got to take care of these meat suits, otherwise known as bodies. But because we're 60% energy, 30% mind, and you lose it because the energies are overwhelming you or you take on someone else's stuff, you got to learn how to protect yourself and do that daily shadow work or weekly or monthly or whatever to hang out and work with the food that
yes,
these things are feeding upon. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this is really my passion and specialty. I do ancestral shadow work. I do childhood shadow work. And I also refer people out. I have some amazing therapists and different business partners of all kinds. We both know Vanessa, our friend who introduced us to really make sure you get the right practitioner and the right help. I'll define it and then I'll turn it over to you, Anthony. But once you recognize like the symptoms we talked about, we're not going to repeat them. Mental health, physical health, emotional stuff just going sideways, then you may have this stuff going on. You got to address the shadows. And
mm-hmm.
so to be able to do that, a lot of times I've had people do, anything from meditations to breath work to move the energy and then become aware. What are you feeling? You got to feel it to heal it. You got to name it to claim it to tame it. So fear. Am I feeling fear? Okay. Am I feeling grief, anger, shame, guilt? The one I worked with yesterday that I thought I had nipped in the bud was real significant exiled, outcasted, rejected energy. I grew up in a family where I was rejected, outcasted, exiled, judged, condemned for being my true authentic self. So I hid. I was wearing what Carl Jung talks about persona masks for decades. And as I decided to break free from that limiting belief, because it's not true, fear is an illusion. All of this stuff is actually an illusion. It's just if it's stuck in our central nervous system, like Anthony said, and these things, these beings, these predatory energies are feeding on it. You've got to take radical responsibility to sit with it and alchemize it from fear into love, shame into empowerment, guilt into freedom and owning your desires and pleasures without feeling guilt and being to a point where grief can become gratitude. And that's not an overnight thing. It's a daily journey of meditating and holding space. We haven't been taught to do that for ourselves or have a professional work with you on this because it shouldn't probably be done alone. And to then get into a place of emotional intelligence where you can see the fear, the guilt, the shame, the abandonment, and you can send love and light to it from your own energy, your own heart. And then that raises your vibrational frequency so that when the event happens that might have used to cause guilt or shame or fear or whatever, it doesn't trigger you. You're up that David Hawkins vibrational frequency energies where you get neutral is in the middle. Fear is way at the bottom. And then of course, love and enlightenment are way at the top. You really want to be neutral and come from a grounded, centered place is the ultimate. And then these beings, these attachments will be like, oh, well, I can't penetrate this person anymore.
Right,
There's a lot more to it than that, but that's
right.
what Anthony and I are talking about. is you've got to be your own healer and to be able to raise your own energy. He and I can help you, but at the end of the day, you've got to be able to do it yourself through daily ritual, daily practice, exercise, obviously proper nutrition, grounding, like he was talking about, going to a sound bath. These are all tools, but eventually you also don't want to become addicted to healing, because that's a thing that I did. I would go to the healing, but I wouldn't be doing the daily practice. So I was still a feeding ground for those were band-aids. It was through the daily shadow work, the daily processing, the daily healing of myself to myself, which really took me 2 years to learn and be trained to do for myself and then help others. But that's what we mean by shadow work. And it's not necessarily just talk therapy and reliving
Right.
it. You've got to accept it, embrace it, forgive it, have compassion like you did for your mother. I did for mine. And it's still an ongoing journey, because we can still be triggered and still have new material to work with, like I found out I had yesterday. But I don't know that I'd be doing this podcast right now, Anthony, if I hadn't had my daily practice and my tools. So I'm going to take a break and let you share anything about shadow work that you would like to share.
Okay. So, yeah, all good, excellent information. But one of the things I'll say about what I do, I am not going to be like Mighty Mouse, the old cartoon said, "Here I come to save the day," right? And I fix everything and everything is good. And you think, okay, everything's to be hunky dory. I don't have to do anything. That's not how it works. This is a partnership. Person invites me in to do the work for them. We need to partner together. I partner with them. I give them stuff to do that they need to do if they're not doing it themselves. I said, this is your assignments. These are your things. And after I do my entity removal stuff, I'm also including packages now of the entity removal plus the healing. Either the healing frequencies that I send out to people, or I do the energy work of healing energy, multi-modality of energy healing. So I'm making new packages for that. But I'm combining, a lot of people now, because of the type of entities that are attaching, you now need the healing component after the entity removal component. So one of the things it's very important to understand is, if you're only focusing on safety, being protected, you're still open to being attacked or attached to. This is why Magdalena was saying, you need to do the inner work. You have to do this dark night of the soul. You have to do the shadow work. You have to reveal and everything that needs to be come out and be expressed and be felt and be forgiven and then released. Because one of my processes was, when I went through everything, I had to go through one at a time. And through the process, I said, like what came to it, I was like, well, thank you. I thank you for this experience. I didn't like the experience, but I thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for what you taught me. And I don't hate you. I love you, but I've learned everything I can from you. And I release you with love. I don't hate you. I release you with love. And then it's gone. And there's still going to be some remnant energy. You just keep on doing that, and understand that, you got to forgive yourself. You got to, you forgive the person, but forgive yourself, because you had no idea this trauma. A lot of times I explained in the last episode where I took on a lot of things myself as attacks, because I didn't know any better. I thought it was all directed to me, and a lot of it wasn't. When I did the investigation, I did the work, and I released a lot of work that way. But one of the things too is we have to change our story. If we think we're just a victim, that whole circle just keeps going. But if you change your story, I changed my story from, I was being victimized, I was being beat up by a narcissist and all this, to keep on repeating repeating cycles, to, what? I wasn't being beat up for no reason. This was an experience I was supposed to go through, not to punish me, but to train me. I realized I wasn't being punished, I was being trained. So if you can look at this on another perspective, these entities this is like a training. This is an awakening and a training. Hey, you got to pay attention. Like last year was the year of the snake, the wood snake, the shedding and getting rid of things, letting things go. And now the Chinese New Year, it's the fire horse. whatever we didn't shed and let go, it's being amplified, really, really amplified now, especially with the planets. So we had 7 planets in Aries, and now we got Pluto going retrograde. So it's revealing everything that's coming to the surface, really, really intense, really, really hard right now. If we would have done the work a long time ago, during the time of the wood snake and the shedding, it would have been a lot easier now. A lot of our work would have been done, and a lot of these entities would not be attacking or attaching.
Well, and we want to also, I want to also remind people and not put like any level of, oh, fuck, I missed out or anything like that. Keep in mind.
Yeah, you're not going to mess out, but just more work now.
Yeah, there's more light coming in, so there's more shadows fighting and holding on for dear life. That's why the Rape Academy came out. There's going to be a lot more exposed between now and October with the e-files. And so just be aware that everything happens in divine timing, and right. and have faith and trust. And I want to, as we wrap it up here, Anthony, I do want to remind people of how to get a hold of you. I put his email address on the screen, Mystic Taurus, the number 2 at gmail.com. I've been referring people to Anthony. He's helped me. He's helped my referrals. And if you're even like, if any of this made sense to you at all, and you're starting to wonder, gosh, I do have trauma loops. I do have racing thoughts. I do have heart issues. I do have a lot of fear, anxiety, and I've tried all these other things over here. Reach out to Anthony to get a diagnostic, a test, and reach out to me. I do want to make some quick announcements, and then I'll go back to you, Anthony. And next week, I have 3 events that are all a product of my journey, dealing with narcissism, dealing with predatory energies, archons, reptilians, all sorts of stuff. So I have a mother wound webinar. It's specific to if you have money issues, because the reptilians love that. They love to feed off of your money fear and your scarcity and your lack. Our ancestors surely helped us with that, because that's a lot of what's happening on the planet right now. But the Yoni Steam Circle is Friday the 15th. That's going to be online as well. And that's helping heal those lower 3 chakras, the sacral and the root specifically, especially if you're a woman in menopause, if you've had PMS, a lot of mood swings. Again, all of this is feeding ground for the narcissist, predatory, shadowy energy. And then Saturday, my favorite signature event is a Sacred Rage workshop in Temecula, where we're going to vocalize and scream in a trauma-informed way. This isn't just screaming into a pillow or screaming into your car. This is going to be a breakthrough, a break free from toxicity. Because for me, not knowing it as an empath, I had a lot of repressed anger, always wanting to be a good girl. But beneath that was my shadow of righteous rage and anger. You've got to get that out. And I know how to do that in a safe way. So if you've silenced a lot of anger, I really encourage you to check that out, and just go to magdalenagrace.com to sign up for that. And Anthony, I'd like to turn it back over to you as we kind of close, talking about anything that we haven't talked about in our final closing thoughts.
And just understand that, yes, kind of like a relationship with a narcissist, it's very painful. Having attachments or attacks from entities can also be very painful. But remember, it is revealing. Just like an attack doesn't feel good, like a narcissist, it's revealing things that have not been paid attention to. Like a demon, it's going to attach because we have things that they see in us that they want. They want food from us. Mm-hmm. So it's revealing. So you don't have, I mean, it can feel like you're being attacked, like you're being victimized in a way. It's not really like that. It's more like you are attractive to these entities for a reason. Yeah. They are revealing to you, okay, you got things in you that really need to be paid attention to. You have to do this. And like I mentioned, the wood snake energy and then the fire horse, I mean, it's not too late to do the work. It's going to feel harder. It's going to feel more intense to do the work. But you have the energies from the astrological energies and everything and the spiritual energies to back you right now. They are very strong right now, and they will back you. If you want to do the work, they will back you. Mm-hmm. If you have spirit guides and you're connected with your spirit guides, ask them for help. They want to help. They're there. They're just waiting kind of Is he gonna give me something to do? Is she gonna give me something to do? They're waiting for you. They want you to ask them to help with certain things. They really do. And if you need other spirit guides, if you ask for something and none of your spirit guides knows how to do that, you can tell them, please find other spirit guides. Bring to me that maybe you can help me with this.
Beautiful.
Help you things.
Yeah, that's been one.
Yeah, we need backing. We have the backing from spirit. We have the backing with the spiritual energies. We have the backing from the planetary astrological energies, which don't feel good, but it's backing because it's pressuring us. It's propelling us. We can't stay still. We got to keep moving. We got to be propelled. And then by doing that, the end goal is we're going to come into our sovereignty, to our own power, to our authenticity. And then our own light is going to be so strong, nothing is going to be able to attach to us or attack us. Nothing. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Is to get that strong, get that powerful, where nothing can attack you, nothing can attach to you. And then, that's another component of your health that we don't think about. Not all of us, but a lot of us want to reach that point where we have inner peace in our life. That's my main goal. I want inner peace in my life. That's number one. Number two is living authentically. Number three is doing my spiritual purpose, kind of all rolled into one. But I couldn't do that if I didn't come into my sovereignty, my own power, my authenticity, because I went through the journey. I did a lot of the work. There's no way everyone's going to be totally healed, but we can be healed enough to where we can help others. And we're always going to be doing work. It's just the way it is. And you don't have to feel like a victim if this happens to you. Don't feel like a victim. This is exposing why there's something in you they're attracted to. So just kind of think of it like that. You're not being victimized. But if you don't pay attention to it and you let it go on a long time, yes, you can definitely feel victimized because they can get very, very intense, the symptoms. So this is not about fear. This is about empowerment, awareness and empowerment.
Sure. Everything is a mirror. Your fear is a mirror. There's something, it's actually your soul, your higher self, your oversoul trying to get your attention to say, feel it, heal it, name it, tame it. And you can only tame it by rewriting the story. I am grateful for my divorce to deliverance experience. If you don't get that pun, go Google deliverance. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it was my greatest teacher. Now I have all of these witchy spells. I have all of this knowledge. I have so many guides and divine mothers and teachers, that have helped me. Kali Ma, Shiva, Lilith, Hel, Dumavati, Archangel Michael, of course. He's been with me for a long time, but I deepened my connection to the multidimensional universe that we all have access to and asked for help. I love that you shared that, Anthony. Thank you so much. If you were joining us today and this is the first time you've seen us, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the share button. Sharing is caring in these times, especially with May being Mental Health Month, especially with Pluto gone into retrograde today. You may save a life. You may just receive some gifts back from, we're all one. We're all here to help one another walk each other home. And to me, home is where the heart is. Home is our soul's journey. Home is our karma that becomes our dharma. And we want you to excel. And if you've tried everything else and something's not right, talk to Anthony, talk to me. We're here to serve.
Yep. I will tell you if you do or if you don't have entity attachments. And so I'll be straight up with you because I'll tell people they have these things when they don't. That's one of my big things is integrity and boundaries and standards and ethics. So if you do, I'll let you know. If you don't, I'll say, yep, you're fine. So, and I'm on Facebook. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to put all your contact information in the show notes, Anthony, so all of you can reach out to him. He is that's info@magdalenareese.com is me, and Mystic Taurus, the number 2 at Gmail. But again, I'll put all of his contact info in the show notes, including our last episode. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks to all our divine support. Whatever you liked best about this today, please comment below. What was your takeaway? And of course, if you have questions, reach out to either one of us. Until next time, everyone, here's to your best health, your best wealth, your best relationships by going inside and healing the shadows and raising your light and vibrational frequency. Bye-bye for now.